God save Britain, God save America, and God save the West. And God save me and my microphone. There we go, we do have God. We have God, and of course we have our crosses right there. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here today to talk about the media, but in a deeper sense, we're going to talk about what the media isn't doing. We're going to talk about the fact that the media's single greatest power is the power of selective bias in terms of story selection. Now, what do I mean by story selection? What do I mean by this? This is one of the biggest problems facing the West right now. And these are not merely academic problems. These are not merely problems of a philosophical nature. I've just come from Provo, Utah, which is a little town out in the West, just south of Salt Lake City. And I spent 1 week in a courtroom with the accused murderer of my friend Charlie Kirk, and with Charlie's family, and in fact with the accused's family sitting right there. It's a very small room. These actions and inactions by our media have real-life consequences. And I wanted to say, on behalf of myself and on behalf of the United States, that our prayers are with all of you and the family of Ann Widdecombe, who we know just lost her life in a horrific act of violence, one of the most savage and brutal acts of violence that I have seen. And we now know, of course, that it is under investigation for a political motive. And so we ask ourselves, what is going on? Charlie Kirk assassinated. Ann Widdecombe may have been a politically motivated murder. In the United States, President Trump has faced 3 assassination attempts. But by the grace of God, he was saved every single time. And I do believe, and I'll say it here, that God has a plan for Donald Trump. And I truly believe, by the way, and I'm not even reading, so I'm just going to put this, that plan includes the United Kingdom. In fact, I was joking with my family. My 2 boys and my wife are right here, and they're not in the front row, but they're pretty close. Hey guys, thank you for coming. And I noticed that when President Trump hosted King Charles recently at the White House, that he gave an incredible speech, and a very personal speech to him as well, talking about the shared civilization that the West has built, the shared values of the United States and the United Kingdom, and in fact, the shared heritage that Donald Trump and his children personally share because of his mother, who was born in Scotland. And of course, I also wondered, does that make him eligible to run for office in the UK? Because I understand you're in need of a prime minister. I'm just saying, I'm just thinking he'll be out, and Starmer is he still prime minister? Is he not prime minister? It's Schrodinger's Starmer, I think, at this point. I bid you well on having been rid of that disease, but unfortunately, I don't know if you're out of the frying pan and into the fire with Andy Burnham, but we'll see. The media plays a role in all of this because those of us assembled today, those of us who work in this space, those of us who have a voice, those of us who have fought for the ideals and the values that we believe gave rise to the greatest civilization on planet Earth, Western civilization, that we feel that something is wrong in our civilization. We feel that something is lost. We feel as though the elites are not listening to the people. And we can look out at London, we can look out at New York City, where we have our wonderful mayor there, Zoran Mandami. sure you guys love him. I'm sure you've heard of him. He's so great, isn't he? By the way, just on a single note, you remember Zoran Mandami, he campaigned on saying the bus would be free. He said, well, free buses for everyone, free buses for everyone. There are now, and I've just come from New York because we went for the July 4th celebration. I took the kids up to see the tall ships and the sails and the flyover. And the buses in New York City now have a sign on them that says, "This bus is not free." Because people actually thought that a socialist would tell the truth for once. But as every single person in this room knows, all socialists do is lie. And this is where the media comes in, because if you have a media that is captured and controlled by the elites, then you won't hear about those lies. You won't hear about the response to it. You won't hear about the rise of left-wing violence, of political violence, of migrant violence, which of course we see here in the United Kingdom, that we see in the United States. Rachel Morin, Jocelyn Nungary, Laken Riley, and of course, even here in the UK, the young man by the name of Henry Novak. And Henry Novak died while the police, his own government, the basic idea of the social contract was shredded in front of his eyes as his lifeblood poured out, while he was told that because of the color of his skin, because he happened to be a young white man, that he hadn't been stabbed. He must have been the aggressor. He was the one who was put in handcuffs as he died. This cannot stand. This cannot stand in Britain. It cannot stand in America. It cannot stand anywhere in the West. We will not accept two-tier policing. We will not accept two-tier justice. We will not accept two-tier anything. No. No. And if we believe in human rights, then that means we believe in rights for all. This is the foundation of Western civilization, and we will continue to fight for that civilization and those fundamental human rights which were denied to Henry Novak, who could have lived. He was right around the corner from the station. He was right around the corner. And Charlie Kirk never heard the name Henry Novak. No. But I'll tell you what, if he had, Charlie would be right on the front lines fighting for this, just like all of you are today, because that's what he fought for, that's what he lived, that's what he died for. And when Charlie came to Oxford, he talked about that shared heritage, and he talked about the respect that he had for the United Kingdom, the respect that he had for the Enlightenment thinkers, John Locke, Adam Smith, and yes, Thomas Hobbes. Because as conservatives, you know, all I'm going to say is Hobbes was right. And the media exists to act as if none of this is happening, and to tell you that if you have a problem with it, well, we all know the labels that then come out affixed to your name: racist, xenophobe, conspiracies, all the rest. And then a young man like Henry Novak dies. And people are left scratching their heads, and they say, where's the CNN documentary? Where's the BBC docuseries? Where's the panorama on this? Never happens. No. Instead, we get Keir Starmer putting up, was the show Adolescence on Netflix, smearing young white men, again, as if they are the only aggressors in all of society. A society that is trained to fight itself will eventually do so. It will disintegrate, and it will pit the people against one another, rather than focusing on the shared things that we all agree with, that we all believe in. And I'll simply say something as this, that if you are a British person, if you are of British ancestry, then you are the native people of Britain. The native people of Britain are the native people of Britain. It's as simple as that. And yet these basic truths are completely expelled by the media. These basic facts of history, these basic facts of biology that anyone can see. And yet that birthright is denied. Britain is being denied its birthright, and it can no longer stand. The British people must rise up and take back their country, must rise up and take back their government, must rise up for the future of the British people. The same way the American people are fighting as much as we can in the United States, and thank God we have a man like Donald J. Trump to lead the way and lead the charge, to be able to do so for the rights of all. And while I don't know if the specific legalities of whether or not his ancestry through his mother renders him eligible, though I would point out that your own immigration laws seem to offer this possibility to Donald Trump. Just saying. But barring that, I believe that the UK does have someone named Nigel Farage, who I think would make a phenomenal Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, to actually see that Brexit is implemented and actually see that the protection of the shores of this island is eternal, as Churchill said, down to the very beaches of England themselves. This is what the fight is about, ladies and gentlemen. The fight is about the media and the elites who don't want something like CPAC GB happening. They don't want us getting to know each other. They don't want us getting together. They don't want us organizing. Well, guess what? We're here. I'm here. And we're not going anywhere. So, folks, I'll close as I started, and I will simply say this. There was a quote from the great writer, the great dissident, Alexander Solzhenitsyn, towards the end of his life. And of course, he wrote about the Gulag Archipelago, he wrote about the rise of Bolshevism, he wrote about the excesses of the Soviet Union. And they said to him, Alexander, how could such a thing have happened? How could such a thing have happened in the modern world? How could such a thing have happened in modern society? And he said, it's very simple. We forgot God. Solzhenitsyn said, it happened because we forgot God. And so I take that and I realize that the way out of this is simple. The way out of this is absolutely simple. We must remember God and restore God to the very central core of Western civilization, where God is and always belonged, where he must be restored to his exact central core, because this is the foundation of our moral civilization. This is the foundation of what it means to be a member of the West, what it means here to be a member of Christian Europe, and it is only by turning to God that we can save the West. Ladies and gentlemen, God save Britain, God save America, and God save the West. Thank you.